Hey, so I ended up going through this really long discussion with this guy on this, and I thought that it would be a really good discussion to talk about, and it's the kind of the pros and cons of different forms of systems when it comes to creating attributes. Way back in the day, there wasn't really an option. It was 3d6 where they landed, and you made a character based off of that, unless the character could not be made. And so if you rolled six stats that were under nine, you had a character that couldn't be made. Um, Eventually, they kind of stretched that a little bit, and then it went to 3d6, and then you placed them how you wanted to. Um, excuse me. I seen another system after that, which was you rolled 3d6, but you did it for seven attributes, and then you dropped the seventh lowest attribute, and then you made your character off of that. And then there was 46 dropped the lowest, and then there was the point buy system, which was 75 points across the board, and then there was like kind of a point buy system where the higher you raise your points, the more it's going to cost. This way, it forced the characters to make not min max their character. You would get more for bang for your buck if your character was average. Um, and then there was a standard arrays that they started coming out with 16, 14, 13, 12, 11, and 10. And then the other one was 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, and then 8. So throughout the years, they've come up with a bunch of different systems for trying to handle, the load of making characters. Well, one of the big problems is that when you roll, there's this possibility that you're gonna come up with a character that's overpowered, and that's problematic. Another one is that you're going to come up with characters that are much stronger, and then you have a character that's heavily overshadowed by those characters. So, hypothetically speaking, say you have a your highest attribute is strength, and your strength happens to be a 15, and the rest of your scores are 10 or under, and so that would make you most likely to play a fighter, something to that effect. Well, say you made your character and your character had a 15 strength and all these other skills and everything, and then there was another guy and he had like 18, 18, 18, 13, 16, 17. And so not only is he better as a fighter, but he is better than you in every sense of the word. And so that would really get under people's skin. And not only that, players have had a tendency to play almost suicidal so that they could move on to possibly making another character. So with the 3d6 system, you have a very high chance of making very low scores. And there was a chance though, albeit there was a chance that you would have really nice scores and everything. So it was kind of like that once in a blue moon, you would really luck out and make that amazing character. And you might even be able to make, like, say, a paladin or something like that, instead of one of the standard characters. Because way back then, they used to have attributes that were required for these classes that were very demanding. What they did was in the future is they actually started skewing the attributes to their abilities. So you would want to put points into these attributes to have the associated ability. So as a druid, maybe some of your abilities have to do with your charisma, and you wouldn't get those abilities as associated with your charisma, or if your charisma was lower, or as a paladin now, if your wisdom is lower, then you won't get as many spell abilities as you would before, as opposed to just meeting the prerequisite. Well, the big argument has always kind of been well, three. One is if you have low scores, that'll actually give you a chance to really role play up this character. That would be a really neat character to play. Furthermore, it you could always adjust in the game. A GM can see a character and say, "Wow, that character's really screwed," and so that you might end up with more magical items or something like that that would kind of weigh things out because the GM does have power over the world in a sense. There's also the thunder behind being able to play that character and being able to survive next to all these other guys that are really good at everything and you just suck, but you just played your character really well and your character managed to make it up really high in level. And that there's definitely a reward factor in that. The standard point buy system has actually been really rewarding in the sense that so you have say 75 points, 80 points, and you're able to make a character exactly how you wanted to. So say you got a thing for you wanted to make a paladin, or you wanted to make cleric, or you wanted to make a bard, or you wanted to make a rogue, whatever you wanted to make, you could make them, and you could make them look exactly how you wanted them to look. I forgot to mention that a lot of these systems, the more adapted systems, would allow you, instead of having a straight shot on your attributes, you would be able to move those attributes around or move one set of attributes around. Well, by using this point buy system, going back to that, players learn to min max it to be able to get the most DPS. Say they're playing a hack and slash character or in a hack and slash campaign, they dump that charisma that they're not going to use, and so people started playing, whether it be towards their game or whether they wanted to be towards their characters, and they'd make these really maxed out characters that would just dump stat a lot of the other stats and everything, and run around with like an 18 strength, 18 dexterity, 18 constitution. And not all ability scores were created equal. Ask wisdom. Wisdom, if you're not a cleric, wisdom is one of the more useless skills. If you're playing in a hack and slash game or like a dungeon delve, charisma can possibly be, depending on the GM, an absolutely useless skill, depending on the GM. If you're a wizard, you're running around. You can dump that strength. It's not gonna hurt you. And so people were able to min max their characters and be able to come up with a character that was extremely powerful in their field of profession. And so a lot of people have collected a lot of different thoughts and about how what system that they think is the best. And the truth of the matter is no system is the best. And once again, this is my personal opinion, and everybody's got one. Especially when you talk about how you should do attributes, you're definitely gonna see that. Now, I have played 3D6 standard down, drop them down, make a character and everything. It sucks, but it definitely has its pros, because if you roll a character that has everything under a 9 or whatever, your GM is going to make it, and you go ahead and roll again. And you may come up with a really cool character, and you may be the guy that has the awesome character. You may not. So there's all this potential for fun, and there's really a lot of excitement in making a character like that, because you never know what you're going to get, and you're always waiting for those die rolls and everything, and you don't know what you're going to end up making. One of the things that with some of the other systems is forcing the attributes into certain slots. By forcing the attributes into certain slots and everything, force characters to play different characters than what they're usually accustomed to, which in the end, I would say 9 times out of 10 is more appealing, because you end up playing something that you never would play. Like say you would never play a lawful good paladin because you're a rogue guy. You know what I mean? Or maybe you would never play a wizard. I've never been a big guy on playing casters, but if I ended up with 18 intelligence and all my other stats were super low, of course I may find myself in a wizard slot. Then all these ideas of like okay, well, if I'm going to play a wizard, how am I going to own this wizard? You know, maybe I want to make a conjurer. You know, some type of summoner, man. He monster summoning 1, 2, 3. I'm at galore. Maybe I make my own summoning spells. You know, and add a character like that. But you know, people were able to min max it, and I've seen characters pretty much kill Dracoliches with one round of combat because they were that min maxed. And some of the specialty books offer the ability to do some crazy, wacky things, like you know, you say, "Oh, look, I'm using an Odachi." If y'all remember an Odachi from way back then, a D20 weapon. Yeah, that's right. Maybe use some specialist feat that allows you to freaking sneak attack with whatever weapon you have in your hand, or something to that effect. You know, just something. I mean, there was so many different feats and skills and powers that you could use in conjunction with each other. You know, I seen a mage take daggers and no darts. No, and it was a warrior. Use darts, and because the darts had you could throw 4 around, and they do 1d4 points of damage, and you could throw them like I want to say it was like 50 feet or something like that. So, and they're really small, lightweight, compact, probably like 10 to a pound or something like that. And the warrior threw darts, and the max damage that we let him do was the maximum damage that the weapon could do doubled over. So if your weapon did 1d4 points of damage, the max extra strength you could put into it from an arm throw would be 4 points of damage. But now you're rolling 4d4 plus 16 points of damage because you're throwing freaking darts. You know, and you didn't even have to take, I want to say you didn't even have to take any extra thing to get that. You just had to throw darts. And so people were min-maxing and coming up with all kinds of crazy whack monkey abilities, and so stuff like that made other people uncomfortable. And plus, it's harder to min-max a character if you're playing a character that you have and you're not familiar with. You know, if you're one of those guys that always plays this, and that, you're familiar with the different avenues of approach that you can actually get your character to do this insane amount of damage. But when you're forced into a position where you're forced to play something else, you might not be as skilled, you know, at being able to make this character, and so you won't have as high a turnover as min-max characters. And like I said, you know. This added the bonus of being a more flavorful way of getting players to play different characters. However, you know, I'll give you a prime example why this isn't always the perfect way. My wife, for instance, you try and get my wife to play a caster, play a bard, play a rogue, play anything other than something that runs around with a big sword, she's not going to be happy. And some players are like that, you know, and if we're going to turn around and say, okay, well, you know, just suck it up and everything, you know, it's a game that's supposed to be fun. And we always have to remember that, you know, the game is supposed to be fun. And if, you know, now you created a system where the person can't play a type of character that they want to play, you know, they may end up resenting you, resenting the game, and they may even start, you know, sabotaging your game inadvertently. They may not even be trying to. They just might be pissed off every time they turn around. Well, now I got to cast a DM spell, you know. But I've seen it work in the reverse. I've done it myself and everything. I'm like, oh, this is cool, man. I never play wizards. I never play wizards. So here I am playing a wizard and everything, looking up all these spells, and this is kind of cool. I'm like, hey, let's throw some fireballs, you know. So it's fun. But each system has their pros and cons. No system is perfect. I kind of like to cycle through them. You know, if we're gonna do like say, hey guys, let's do a low-powered game. Let's do 3d6. or 70, 75 points or something like that. Something insane. Let's do something like that. Or let's do a high power game. 46 drop the lowest. Or let's put the scores in order, because let's get everybody to play something different this time. I got a guy that he came in and he made we run joint games. We run back-to-back games. We run a 4.0 game and then we run a 5.0 game. And he comes in the first game, he plays a cleric, and he comes in the second game, he plays a cleric. He has no qualms. He's got 2 level 7 clerics. It doesn't bother him one bit. If we told him, hey man, you want to play the third game, I guarantee you he would make a cleric, because that's the only thing he wants to play. He loves to play a healer. That's his thing. That's his go-to. He wants to play a cleric. And so what I'm saying is that there are pros and cons to all these different ways of being able to do this. But there's no real wrong or right way. It's kind of personal preference. What type of game is the GM trying to run? What do the players feel like doing? It's one of those things you might want to talk over. One of the things I like to do is I like to make people make RPGA game certified characters, because say for whatever reason they stop playing the character in my game, I think it would be nice if they could go play in another RPGA game. I think it'd be nice if they could carry that character with them, take the adventures that they took from my game, put it in their suitcase, carry it on to the next one, and whoop some butt in somebody else's game. Let the character live on. And so that's why I kind of like the RPGA stats, and I don't think they're that bad either. For 5th edition, 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 12, 11, 10, and then 8, that isn't bad. And for 4th edition, 16, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, or whatever, that's not bad. So it's really personal preference. And there's definitely pros and cons to each approach. I would never say one person is really right about this and one person is really wrong. And I've used all the systems and everything, and I've made characters that I've loved out of all the systems. And I made characters that I might not have been that as happy with and everything. But I think that all the systems work. They're all effective and everything for what they do. And it's just a different way of looking at it. And I'm glad that the systems are there, so you can actually mix up the game even that much more, so you can always keep that diversity out there. All right, guys, I hope you appreciate this and enjoy it. Y'all have a good one, okay?